Good morning. My name is Gianna Gizzi, and I'm an attorney with the law firm of Loevy Loevy. That's Gizzi. And I'm joined by my client, Jennifer Laureano, which is Laureano. Earlier this morning, we filed a federal civil rights case on behalf of Jennifer and her minor son, Jason, against the city of Rockford and several police officers from the Rockford Police Department. The facts of this case are as simple as they are infuriating. 6 weeks ago, on the evening of December 2nd, 2025, two officers of the Rockford Police Department, Parr and Ryan Terranova, made a traffic stop near the intersection of Rockwell Street and Gilbert Avenue in Rockford. Jason, who is 17 years old, was a passenger in that car, along with three others who are all under 18 years old. They are kids, and they were scared. And as kids sometimes do, they ran. The driver and another passenger ran away, and then Jason decided to run too. After a few minutes of running, Jason called his older brother to come pick him up. As he was on the phone with his brother, two officers caught up with him. They approached him with their canine and their guns drawn. Jason, in fear for his life and safety, immediately dropped his phone and surrendered, voluntarily laying down on the ground. Despite his peaceful cooperation, one of the officers put his knees on Jason's back, forcing his face into the snow and ignoring his pleas that he couldn't breathe. Then, although Jason was restrained, not resisting, and posed no danger, one of the officers began brutally beating Jason with a metal object as he laid defenseless on the ground. Jason doesn't know what the object was, whether it was a flashlight, a gun, or something else, because he was so severely beaten that he temporarily lost consciousness. When they were done beating him, the officers transported Jason to the police station, where he threw up from his injuries. Only then was Jason taken to the hospital, where it was determined that he sustained a concussion, several facial fractures, and severe abrasions and lacerations. At no point did anyone notify Jason's parents, including Jennifer, that he was injured or in custody. He was eventually charged as a juvenile with resisting arrest and possession of marijuana. The lawsuit filed today charges those officers with several violations of Jason's civil rights under federal and state law, including use of excessive force, assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. This lawsuit is about getting justice for Jason and his family, but it is also about holding these officers accountable for their actions. I'd like to reiterate that this was a child. He was unarmed, he had surrendered peacefully, and he had committed no crimes other than running from the police. And he ran away because he was afraid for his life and his safety. This fear turns out to be justified. We can debate whether Jason had maybe made a poor decision to run, but that is a distraction from the real issues, because we expect teenagers to make poor decisions sometimes. We also expect, and as we should expect, our trained police officers to make good decisions when they're policing their communities. Officers Parr and Terranova are grown men and veteran officers. They've both been on the force for many years, and they were heavily armed, and they had a canine. They were in no danger at any point in their interaction with Jason. So there is no excuse or defense for them to have beat an unarmed child unconscious. It is an unconscionable abuse of power, and we look forward to holding them responsible in court. Now I will introduce Jennifer to answer any questions. Thank you. Yes.
Jennifer, I'm sorry, can you go ahead and please state your name, spell out your first and last name again, please?
Jennifer Laureano, Jennifer, Laureano, Laureano.
Did your son say anything about what the police said to him? About what exactly preceded this? Did they tell him, warn him anything?
No. They just got on the side of them and they proceeded to pull them over. And by the time I guess they met up with the kids, all the kids had ran out the car and my son ran too. They never approached them, spoke to them about anything.
Jennifer, I'm sorry, if you step a little closer, my apologies. Thank you. That's fine. Your son had a cell phone in his hand?
Yeah.
Did the officers say they thought that might have been a weapon, a gun, or anything like that? Things happen quickly. It was at night, you know?
Yeah.
Did you hear
No.
that often? That something?
Yes, when the officers approached him, my son had his cell phone laying right next to him on the side with his brother. He had his brother on the phone, and at no point in time did he have it like raised facing them. He was laying down on the floor on his stomach with his hands out, and he was telling them, "I give up, I surrender." So like he was no threat to them at the point when they got up to him.
And so they were pulled over. They were driving. They were pulled over.
Yes.
Why were they pulled over? What did the police say? Did they run a red light? Were they speeding? Was it curfew? What time was it?
It was like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay. So why? What's the reason the police came for pulling them over?
They never gave a reason. From what I heard, they were just looking. They were side by side by them on the car, and they were just in the car looking at the boys. To me, I think they like racial profiled them, and they just the boys turned off, and then they like cut through traffic to turn off, and then the kids were already like leaving, and then they were just behind them. Like,
Are the officers white?
yes.
And your son is of Hispanic heritage?
Yeah, he's Hispanic, and he was with his friends. They're African American.
I see. And how's your son doing now? I know, I'm sorry, the photos are upsetting.
Yeah.
What's happening with him now?
Now he's just going to the doctors. He might need reconstructional surgery in his face because they fractured bones in his face, and they broke his nose. And he can't play football right now, so that's kind of stressful for us because my son is like a star in the football team, and he has to sit out because of his fractures to his face. And we're just trying to get through with it as best as we can. He's really traumatized.
Is he back in school?
He's been going here and there, but he's been having a lot of like headaches and stuff like that. So they kind of like been letting him, giving him, off days so he can get better.
I have to ask this: has your son had any trouble with police before?
No, when he was younger in school, he got into trouble one time, like 8th grade, and but other than that, he doesn't get into no trouble. Like, yeah. He's a good kid. He plays on a football team. He gets good grades. He goes to school regularly. He goes to church Sundays. His friends from his team go with him to church. Like, he's not a bad kid.
Jennifer, how have you been holding up the last couple weeks?
I've been really stressed out because I have to deal with all these people that are like saying stuff about my son and saying that he was like he did something wrong. I know kids make mistakes and he shouldn't have ran, but he was scared, and it just breaks my heart to see my son's face like that, what they did to him, and the fact that they dragged him, and he was unconscious and stuff, it just hurts me a lot. So.
What does justice look like for you with this lawsuit?
Like, I don't care about, there's no amount that could fix this to me. I want justice. Like, I want those officers, like, fired or some type of consequences to them so they can't do this anymore to these kids. Like, I'm just tired of the way they think they can just do things and they can just hurt. The kids, even grown-ups, like, they do this to people out there that they think they can just keep getting away with everything, and I just want justice. I don't think they should be officers. Like, they're supposed to protect and serve us. Like, who are we gonna trust if they're not doing their job properly? Like, it's just heartbreaking for us.
And then going back to the timeline, I think you mentioned the incident happened around 8 p.m. What time that evening or that early morning did you eventually find out what happened?
I found out while he was still getting pulled over because he was on the phone with my son while they had chased him, and my son called me and told me what was going on. And I sent my family to the police station to get to him because at the moment in time I couldn't get to him right away. So I was there in the morning and I seen his face and I couldn't even recognize him. Like, his face was just messed up, swollen. So.
Do you know if there have been any complaints against these officers previously?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Based on some preliminary investigation, it does appear that these officers have had complaints of abuse against them before. We just don't know the extent of those, complaints or the details, but we will, as we get to discovery for this case, that will be definitely one of the things we are investigate further.
And I'm sorry, have you said a monetary amount or what you're seeking? Have you said that?
No, and we won't be, we don't have a specific number and an amount that fairly compensates them for their injuries, but we don't know what that will be and can't give a number right now.
Have you been able to see body cam footage yet?
No, we would love to, but we both, issued FOIA requests that were denied for that because of their reasoning is because they're juveniles. But that is something we're looking forward to getting in this litigation, hopefully as soon as possible, because that will definitely, clarify some of the timeline.
What's known in terms of if those complaints were substantiated? Because back in December, I FOIA'd for any disciplinary or probationary action for those officers. I was told no such records existed. What have you seen on your end in terms of those complaints and substantiated?
I've only from seeing anecdotal evidence, and the fact that they have no records is pretty meaningless because police departments don't often like to investigate their own officers. So the fact that they have no records, does not mean that they have not had complaints against them. It might just mean that none of them were sustained or came with some type of procedural discipline, but that is, to be determined. So we'll look forward to getting that in discovery.
Did Jason or any of his friends, did they have cell phone video?
No, they didn't.
It's our understanding that there is body-worn camera of the whole incident with Jason. So we know it exists. It's just a matter of them releasing it. And given, the circumstances of the pending criminal charges and the fact that they're all juveniles is part of the issue.
And what was the area? Was there other, like door cam video possible? Was it in a residential area? I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed that.
Oh, that's
Business
okay.
area?
Yeah, that's a good question. That was something that I was wondering about as well. It was, I think, semi-residential. It was more, Jason was more in like a wooded area that's kind of butted up against a neighborhood, it sounds like, but that was, at least a bit of distance from a house or nearby houses.
I don't want to ask something that really hasn't been said yet, but I'm going to get there. This is kind of a tense time in our country, of ICE activity and things like that. Is there anything in the Rockford area about that? Is there heightened tensions, heightened awareness of police or a fear of police because of ICE activity? Can anybody speak to that? And if that has nothing to do with it, it has nothing to do with it. I just think the question has to be asked these days.
I mean, yeah, there is some situations in Rockford that's going on with ICE that they have been attacking it and, doing their own thing, but I don't think this would have probably anything to do with it. These cops are just, I think they're just prejudiced on their own. This doesn't have nothing to do with ICE.
Jennifer, can you remind me, Jason has a different last name, I think, right? And then can you spell it out if so?
Rivera, Jason Rivera. It's Rivera. Yeah.
And that would be, I'm sorry, can you please spell your first and last name
Oh,
again?
sure.
Please?
Sorry. Gianna, Gianna. Last name is Gizzi, Gizzi.
I was curious too, what, not exactly charges, sorry if I'm phrasing it wrong and stuff, but what actions or what are the claims against specifically the city of Rockford in this lawsuit?
Sure, that's a good question. So specifically, his constitutional rights under Section 1983, that's an excessive force claim. So the fact that the officers used, an unjustified level of force, there was no reason to, it was unprovoked. Jason was not presenting any threat to them, and they still decided to use that level of force, and then, kept using it and viciously assaulted him despite his cooperation and being subdued. And that's the primary allegation, but as well there's state law claims of assault and battery by the officers. as well as intentional infliction of emotional distress.
And Jason's a senior in high school?
Yes.
What are his plans after school? After high school?
He was talking about real estate. He wants to get into real estate business and stuff like that. Yeah. He plays football right now. He's a really good football player, which is, like I said, he can't play right now because of his fractures and stuff, and the doctor said he can't play, but he's he was talking a lot about real estate and stuff like that.
I'm going to ask this because, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask this because Jason's a football player. Is he a big guy? And the officers, I mean, bigger the person, officers might have, how big of a guy is he?
I weigh more than him. So he's like 130 or something, and he's like my height. Like, he's pretty small. He's one of the smallest football players there is on the team, but you
don't look at him and think grown man, it's I think is the consensus.
And like they're not disrespectful boys. Like I have 5 boys, and they won't have altercation. Like if they'll listen to authority. I know like he ran. That's why he stopped and he gave up. He was like, because he knew running, he was scared, but like he gave up and he surrendered and laid down. And he was laying down before the cops even approached him. He could see the cops coming to him. And he was like, they're coming. They're like, just stay laying down and put your hands out. We're telling him what to do on the phone. So he knew he was, to surrender and to obey what they were saying.
And were any of his friends detained, or was there any physical altercation between his other friends and the police? Or?
We don't know the extent of the other because they ran in separate directions, but they were detained, and the other individuals in the car, his friends, were also minors, and the police did also end up detaining them as well. So.
Is there in the lawsuit, and sorry if it's just attached, but I remember that night there was also a canine injured during that police chase. Is that at all mentioned or relevant to this lawsuit, or have you found that that was just a random incident part of that chase?
I think to answer the latter part of your question, it wasn't random, it was connected because it was in this whole pursuit. However, it is not mentioned in the lawsuit, and it is, they have potentially those individuals have their own complaints maybe. I'm not sure, but we did not include that in our lawsuit because we wanted to keep it simple and not get distracted by some of the extraneous stuff. And Jason was not present when the officer shot the dogs. He heard a gunshot, but he didn't see it. So his account is pretty separate from their own experience with the officers.
I'm sorry, what happened? A dog was shot?
2 of a nearby residents' dogs were shot and killed by these police officers throughout this pursuit. Yes, yeah. And I'm not sure what exactly led up to that because, again, we don't have the body worn camera. But I imagine that would be on that video as well. But yes, that is also an unfortunate tragedy and speaks to the aggressive mindset of the officers, really.
So the dogs were killed by a neighbor, by a citizen?
No, by the police officers.
Where were the dogs? What dogs?
I don't know whose dogs they are, but they were a civilian's dogs. Pets, they're that the officers had let out of the yard of this individual, and according, the accounts are varying. The police have their own account, but these officers have a canine on them, their own police canine. So there is some, ambiguity about the events immediately leading up to the shooting of those dogs, but I think there was some encounter with the canine, their police canine. So yeah.
But the police dog was okay?
I guess.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm trying to make sure what
yes.
happened. Okay.
Yes.
So, all right, so they've got a dog start barking, 2 dogs get killed.
Yes.
2, so.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Just to make sure I have fact straight and stuff, was this filed in Winnebago County, and then do you guys have a filing number for reference?
It's filed in federal court, so the Illinois Northern District, but the Western Division, and we do have the complaint right there that has the case number on it. you can have one of these, but it's 26 CV 50013.
And there's extra copies.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
yes. Take it. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Do you have enough?